Good morning. I think we're live. Here we are Tuesday. I think. Yeah, it's Tuesday. I don't know. This week seems like it's going fast. Although I don't know. I'm not getting as much done as I thought I would. Yesterday was a kind of a crazy day. I I was working on something, and then it got to be sort of afternoon, and I went upstairs to get something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to lay down here for a minute." Well, you know how this story ends, right? Not well. So then I woke up much later. My husband woke me up, and I thought it was morning. I really thought it was morning, but it was not. It was night. So uh, I lost a good chunk of yesterday just sleeping, and then I didn't have any trouble sleeping more. Um, so but that reminded me that I can't remember the last time I had a nap. Um, Naps are great. And I used to nap a lot more, I think, when my kids were young. Um, Now, I don't know. I guess I don't need it as much, but it was really great. I would highly recommend it. So if you get a chance to take a nap, you might want to do that. But yeah, it's good to catch up on some sleep, I think. But I still feel kind of sleepy. I don't know. There you have it. Um, so I don't really have anything to talk about today that I can think of. Hmm. We talked yesterday about sort of the energy, mother energy, female energy, and that sort of creative force, which is always interesting. And we'll talk about uh, the other. So the female energy is called Shakti, and the male energy is Shiva. Um, and we'll talk about that maybe on Father's Day. I don't know. But it's very interesting if you have any interest um, in Hindu philosophy from at the most basic um, sort of the beginnings, like the energy and the creation universe. They have the same kind of concept as um, this idea of the yin and the yang from maybe Chinese and Asian philosophy. Same thing, right? Two sides, and what I didn't know, and I think I just read this about the yin and the yang. So that's the symbol that they have for it is that curved area, the black and the white, and then there's a little dot. And I think the dot is there to remind you that even within the dark and the light, there's dark and the light. So um, that's, I guess, sort of the gray, right? It's reminding you about the gray, that there is, even within dark there is light, and within light there is dark. Nothing is everything is that simple, but nothing is that simple, right? Does that make sense? um, we can break it down into that, but it is so um, it's so splintered, right? um, we can't um, and that's really our perception, right? um, it isn't necessarily the situation itself, it's how we perceive it. And I remember reading a book where they had a description, and I think it's so apt. And the person in the book was saying that when you're a child, things seem so clear, right? Everything seems so black and white. We see things for what they are, and we like good things and we dislike bad things, right? We go towards the light and we avoid the dark. But then when we get to be an adult, things get more complicated. And the way that they described this was that, you know, adult emotions are like weird flavors of ice cream. So you might have, you know, pineapple, chocolate, uh, chili pepper, um, mud, flavored emotions, right? The idea being that it's it isn't like it isn't just strawberry or vanilla, and it isn't like, you know, uh, dirt and mud. Um, there's it's all mixed together, you know, and as adults we make this, right? We've made this for ourselves by our perception, by our way, our experiences, and our evaluation of things, our judgment of things. Um, if we could see things clearly, it would be simpler, right? If we could see what was really there, um, we would see it in a clearer sense, black and white, right? Um, but you know, it's very hard to do that, right? We are filtering everything through our lens, through our uh, personal experiences, our upbringing, our the good things that have happened to us and the bad things that have happened to us. They teach us things that stick with us, and they're hard to discard, right? We call these prejudices, we call them biases, we call them um, lessons that we've learned, right? But what we need to remember is that our lessons are not universal. Our lessons are our own. And many people have had other lessons. Um, what might seem so um, clear to us, so simple, for someone else, it might be impossible for them to see things that way. Um, does that mean you're right and they're wrong? Probably not. You both may be wrong, right? But you both also may be a little right. Um, this is hard, right? This is a hard thing to try to nibble out the truth in what is our personal perception of the truth. Um, all I can tell you, and really the most important thing about this, is to know that we don't know, right? And I think I mentioned this before, this idea that real knowledge, deep knowledge, is the understanding of how little you know, of how surface your understanding of the bigger picture may be. That there is so much more that you may not be privy to. Right? Things that have happened before, things that have happened in a hidden way. Um, the best thing we can do is to be aware of this and to understand that we cannot hold our we cannot judge others for their dim perception of the truth, because ours is probably just as flawed in a different way. So what do we do about that, right? Um, so the best course in this is to look within, right? And this is hard because we don't like doing this. We like to look things up. We like to go online. We like to get other people's opinions, read stories, read articles, read all of these things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You should do that. You'll get a lot of good information. You'll get a lot of people's viewpoints, which is important, right? It's important to know what other people are thinking as well. But don't believe everything you read. The only truth, the only real truth, is what you're going to find within. And this is what we've talked about before as well. This idea that the internal spirit, the soul connection is going to guide you in the right way. So when you read something, many times if you have this connection with the internal self, and it's a pretty good connection, you get a feeling. You may get a feeling when you're reading something. It may feel very true. This is tricky though, right? There are people who believe that their opinions, right, and their feelings are truth. You know where this can go, right? I know you've seen people post stuff and post things. Well, this is my opinion, and it feels true, right? This feels true. It feels true because I'm afraid. It feels true because I'm looking for someone to blame. Um, that's what we need to guard against, right? When you have a feeling that something is true, you need to look at that. Is that a real feeling? Is it a deep feeling that is coming from within? Um, or is it part of what's going on here, right? Um, Part of overcoming the biases and prejudices that we have is being aware of what they are. And not necessarily, right? A lot of people want to deny that they have these feelings, right? That they judge other people on the color of their skin, or what they're wearing, or what they perceive to be as their, education level or whatever. Um, in truth, we all do this. We all do this, right? We, as our brain is trying to sort things out for us. It's trying to categorize things. It's trying to, um, that's what it does, right? It tries to evaluate risk, evaluate, you know, is this person a friend or foe? What is this situation going to be like for me? This is a good thing. The problem is, if we're not aware of this, then we may act on these things prematurely. We may think that knowing these things and feeling these things about people is true, right? Um, so if we are aware that we have these biases, that we may have them, and you may know why, right? Maybe you've had a bad experience in the past with this person or that person, or maybe you have fears that cause you to have these sort of prejudice about other people. Um, so we can have those feelings, but we can understand that they aren't necessarily true, that they are just a product of our mind. Um, we don't have to act on them. We can understand what they are and just let them be and move past them. Um, as we have other experiences in our life, it changes how we see things, right? So, having a good experience then um, shifts things a little in your brain. Um, so, what we want to do is replace some of those bad experiences with good experiences, and be aware that we have prejudices, even if we think we don't, right? We may not act on them, and that's a beautiful thing. If you cannot act on any prejudices you may have, if you can look at every person and every situation as something new, and go on from there. But to say you don't have them and to deny that feeling is to make an error, right? Um, then we feel like what all of our thoughts and our beliefs are 100% validated, and that's not necessarily true either, right? So we want to look at every situation and every person with open eyes, with a new way of looking at things. Um, See what is really true and what is just made up, right? Um, it's not easy, but it's really important. If we could all do this, then we can truly see each other as human beings, as children of God, children of the universe. Um, all of us one, all of us, you know, part of this one greater whole. Um, does it mean that everything in your life is going to be great when you can do this? No. Because you're still going to have to interact with other people. And as good as you can get at doing this, the people around you are doing their own thing, right? So, you know, all you can do is control your actions, right? The reactions of people around you uh, are not your concern. Um, you just need to worry about what you're doing, um, and let the rest of it sort of take care of itself. Um, Putting that energy out into the world is really important. It's the beginning of change. It's how things change. They'll change for you, and your actions will then start to change things for other people too. So be aware. Um, don't don't take things at face value. Look a little deeper. Um, it's not easy. I'm not telling you it's easy, but that first thing, right? Just be aware that what you think, and what you believe are a product of your experiences, not necessarily the truth. Um, that's where we start with all of this. Right? Okay. Um, so let's do some asana. I'm not even sure how do we get on this? When do we start talking? That's it is a universal thing though, right? Um, and I don't think you never really uh, you never really can think about that too much. Um, it applies to so many things in our life. Um, it applies to dealing with strangers, but it also applies to dealing with people in your life, right? I think sometimes the prejudices and biases that we hold about our own relatives and family and friends um, are the most damaging, right? We see people how they were, how we experience them, you know, as a child or as a young person. Um, we don't see that they've changed. They don't see that we've changed, and um, we kind of we just keep going down these same roads. Uh, we get stuck in a rut of behavior and expectation of behavior, so that we even revert. And this is something interesting that people will do is oftentimes they'll revert back to younger and older and more damaging behavior when they're back in these environments. So perfectly competent grown adults, when they are come back home to mom, um, just you know become incompetent and just lay around and wait for someone to do something. So again, like we slip back into these things. We slip back in our own minds and then other people's expectations too, right? So that may not be at all the truth, but at that moment, it's what is passing for the truth. Um, so seeing things clearly, seeing things as they are, um, it's uh, it's not easy, but it's something that we work on. Um, because it's healthy and it's good. Going back is never an option. It's never a good thing. We want to go forward. We want to see what's happening and change with it, not get stuck, right? And that's one of the beautiful things about this practice and yoga in general is we are we're framing ourselves into the reality of what's happening. We know that there may be things in the past that happened that aren't good. And we aren't trying to pretend that they didn't happen, but yet we don't need to hash through them again and again. We can step into the new. We can build on where we are now. And I think that's important because many times people don't want to revisit the past. They don't want to go back to see, what they can do. And many times they can't, right? Maybe those people aren't even alive anymore. This is something that people deal with a lot, especially as they get older. You have people who you have beef with who are gone, or they are at the point where, they don't care to discuss what's going on. They aren't willing to make amends or um, apologize or take responsibility for their actions. What do you do then? You just move on, right? You take responsibility for, what happened, that you were there, that maybe it wasn't your fault, even though you feel like maybe it was your fault. You take responsibility for the fact that this person doesn't care, right? They don't want a relationship. They don't want to make amends. So you move on, right? You build on what's happening now, the reality, not the hope, not the dream that things will somehow get better. Maybe they won't. Maybe they never will. Um, in that in that format, but they can get much better for you. Right? You can just let go of that. Let go of that hope. Let go of that, and look at the reality. Right? The reality of what's happening, and then move from there. Yoga is that search for truth, not holding on to dead dreams, not trying to resuscitate ancient beefs and and resolve that may never be resolved. Um, it's doing what we can right now with the truth of what's happening. Um, that's it. That's all we can do. That is what we have, um, and it's enough. Right? You may think it's not, but it really is. So let's move a little. I'm feeling kind of beat up today. Um, Sometimes you wake up like that, right? Everything is kind of not feeling good. I didn't even do yard work yesterday, but everything feels a little not great. So let's sit here and breathe. Find that center. And then we're going to drop the chin down. Moving around to make a big circle. One way and then the other. Walk the hands out. And then hands behind, fingers pointing away from the body, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Gaze up. Coming back up to your seat, bring the arms wide. Take a deep breath. Exhale, bringing hands together. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands. We're gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. And then right arm down by your side, reach across with the left. Switch sides. And then back up, left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sit tall, then twist. Back to center, take a breath and twist. Bring the feet together, we're sitting tall. Fold forward. Coming back up, both legs out in front. Deep breath in, arms forward as we fold. Back up, let's point and flex the feet. And then rotate through the ankles. One way and the other. Sometimes it sounds pretty crunchy there. I don't know. Bend the knees. We're going to catch a hold of the toes or maybe the feet. Lean back. Find your balance. And then maybe some extension halfway or full extension. See what you can balance. And then set the feet back down. Let's bring the legs wide. Pardon me. We're sitting up tall, and then you could walk the hands out in front, or you could bring them out on the legs. Your choice. We're going to try to keep the feet up, though, right? My toes and feet are always trying to hang down in the center. We're going to try to keep them facing the ceiling. Back up. Let's bring the legs together. Breath in, fold forward. And then we're back up. Bend the knees. We're going to lower down or rock back. Get comfortable here. Take a couple of breaths. And then right ankle on the left knee. You might stay there, or we're bringing the left leg in, closer to the body. And then we'll set the left foot back down. Keep that right ankle on the knee, arms out to a T or goalpost arms, and then we're lowering the left knee, and the right foot is sort of going along here for a twist. Rest of the body stays, the shoulders really stay on the mat as the hip is moving up. Then move back to center. We'll switch it around. And maybe drawing that right leg in. And then set the foot back down. We're going to lower, go in the opposite way. And then back up. Let's do a supported bridge. So we've got heels back, close to the body. Find your block. Lifting up. We'll get the block in that good position. If it doesn't feel good, move it around until it does. I usually find, a little lower is better. In my mind, I sort of imagine it should be higher than it usually works out that it is. And you can always bring the knees into the chest or extend the legs long if you want. And then remove the block. We're resting back down on the mat, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Relax here and breathe. And then we're going to move into Shavasana. So if there's a pose you want to take to get yourself into that space, you can. If you just want to stay here with knees apart, you can do that too. Or extend the legs long. Right? Whatever helps you feel at peace here. Breathe. Keep that focus on the breath, the sensations that you feel laying on your mat. Don't allow your mind to wander. Bring it back to focus on this space, this moment in time. Focusing on the breath is such a good practice because it keeps us steady anchored in the present. There can be no wandering. The breath is immediate. It comes and goes. Once a breath is gone, it is gone forever. But there's a new one starting. These are like the moments, the seconds that pass in our life. Can't get them back, but there's always another one coming. So staying in this present allows us to take advantage of the time that we have instead of getting stuck, looking backwards, right? Trying to fix what's already passed, or worrying what's coming next. Who knows? I can tell you that there will be breath though, right? Keep the breath and take things as they arrive. When you're ready, moving a bit, and then making your way up to the seat, or you could rest on the mat as well. Hands together, take a deep breath. Thank you for taking some time for yoga today, for sharing it with me. And I hope that you have a very good Tuesday. Namaste. Okay. Great. Let's do meditation. 5 minutes meditation. Not too much, just a bit. Enough, right? Just enough to shift that thinking a little bit. I find meditation in the morning is so nice because it kind of sets you in that frame of mind for the day. Not always, right? I mean, things will come up and, disrupt that, but it brings your attention to it so that you don't forget, right? Your spirit, your basic nature, right? Even though we are struggling with some things here on earth with our bodies and our projects and our work and all of that, it's good to remember what our nature truly is. Sitting comfortably and breathing. Okay, we're back. Hopefully that was a pleasant 5 minutes for you. If not, well, it's done. So that's something. All right, enjoy your day. Be back on Wednesday.